Good? Yeah, that's a little too much. Let's bring it back down just a tiny bit. So if you saw this talk at B-Sides Cleveland, I'm sorry, it's not indifferent. But let's dive back in. Everybody could use a refresher. Why not? So before we get started, though, here's some the relevant info. My name is Kris. I'm the manager of application security, compliance, and risk at Highland Software. I'm the founder of another group in the area called CleveSec. I used to be a board member of NEOISF until about a month ago. Actually, it's this manager job change that prompted this change. There's a rumor of a curse when you get elected to the board of NEOISF that your career starts taking about twice as long as it normally did, and then you can't do anything with the board. Seems to apply. And then sometimes I help out with OWASP Cleveland. So this is a pretty universal phrase, right? We all agree that this kind of is a guiding principle for security of any kind, not just information security, something we kind of rely on. You know, we put the blinky boxes in, we put the settings in, we do the training, but if we have a single weak point, that's where the attackers go. That's as strong as our entire environment is. Who's heard this quote? I know it's where you guys are pizza laden. It's late in the afternoon, so nods will be fine. Yeah, so you guys heard this? Yeah. Anybody said this? Nods also. Yeah. All right. What about this one? Who's heard this one? This was actually Bruce Schneier was kind of the biggest person I saw say this kind of thing, and I don't feel comfortable disagreeing with someone like Bruce Schneier because he's Bruce Schneier, and I'm not even close to that, but I highly disagree with him on this. So I'm here to tell you why. If you think that, if you agree with Bruce Schneier on this, I'm here to try and convince you that you're wrong. So with that, we're going to dive into 10 reasons your security education program sucks. Number 1, you don't care enough about your education program. But you're all here today. You guys are actually here out after work learning. Some of you may be on the clock still. Most of you probably are not. But the fact that you're putting in the time is a very positive thing. So let's get, you know what, round of applause for you guys for showing up. Good job. You guys, and there's free pizza to incentivize, I understand, but still a little caring, you know? That's all we ask for. It doesn't take much. This bothers me. I go to conferences, I come to these things year after year, and I listen to you guys, and I listen to the presenters bitch about these. Right? Well, we have PCI, and we have HIPAA, and we have SOX, and that's all my managers care about. They don't care about real security. They only want to check the boxes. But then when it comes time to actually implement this kind of thing, to push some education out to your users, you guys, just like everybody else, are sending your users this. Go on here, read this, make sure you sign off on it, you're done. So you spend all your time at the conferences complaining, you know, PCI is not real security, why do we rely on it? But then we send this, you can't see it, 112-page document to our users and say, make sure you read it, make sure you understand everything, and then send it back. This just reeks of someone who doesn't care, right? This is a document we got from the from the auditors. We got it from the council, whoever certifies us, and said make sure your users understand this stuff. So we're like, okay, forward, and we're done. If you do this kind of thing, it shows you don't care because you're not actually applying any sort of results to what you're looking for. This quote is attributed to Woody Allen, but it's one of those old ones. Who knows? I like to say that my team likes to over-engineer things sometimes, and I like to stop them and be like, guys, this is a solves problem. We don't have to start from the beginning and rebuild things. We can kind of work forward on the backs of other people. We can use what other people have started and kind of put things together. I don't know that information security falls into that. Information security as a field is very new. Educating users on it is even newer. So I don't know that that falls into the realm of solved problem. But there are people that are working on it. I'm working on it. There's a ton of other people that are working on it. You guys, by virtue of being here, are at least sort of interested, and hopefully we can all work together and get some solutions going. So just by showing up, you know, you're providing a little energy into the system, trying to get something going, and that's what we need to do. Get involved. Come to these, you know. When you are actually looking to implement these things in your organization, make sure that you are contributing back. You know, talk about what worked for you, what didn't work for you. Talk about roadblocks you ran into so other people can learn from your mistakes. That's what I'm here for today. I made a lot of mistakes rolling out the program I did, so I'm here to make sure you don't make the same mistakes. All right. Number 2, your managers don't care enough. How many people think this applies to them? That's far less than normal. Yeah. It's not bad. Usually most of the room is all, my managers don't. So we have to be careful with this one, though, right? We have to be careful that this doesn't become an excuse, right? It's definitely possible that your managers do not care, and no matter anything you say is not going to convince them otherwise. But we have to make sure that we don't just try once, the manager says no, like, oh, I guess they don't care about this. I don't know what I can do. I'm too low on the totem pole. I can't bother with this kind of thing. That's where I was. When I started this security program at Highland, I was entry-level software tester, just functional testing. But I had an interest in security. I noticed a giant gap in our testing that we were kind of reactive on the security side. If we did any security testing at all, it was because a customer got a penetration test done and called us panicking because they got this giant hailstorm printout, and they were like, I don't know what all these letters mean. It's red, fix it. So that was pretty much the extent of our security testing. So I led some little bit of a grassroots movement. I kind of reached out to my other testers, and I was like, are you guys interested in security? Have you watched some of these talks? Have you come to these things? And we kind of put a little group together. We started moving towards getting some official things going. There's a real problem, though, and that is that you can build a grassroots movement, and that's great. You can kind of get some traction going, but grass, there's a reason that metaphor is used. Grass only goes so high, right? At a certain point, you're going to run into roadblocks. You're going to have to deal with these trees, and these trees at any time can decide they don't like what the grass is doing, shade it up, and you're done. So that means you have to get your managers on board. It's your job to get your managers on board. If you need to get other people on board, you need to get their managers on board as well. Because if the manager's not on board, what they'll do is they'll convey the message to their people because they have to, but they won't do it in an enthusiastic way. They'll be like, all right, guys, we got another new initiative again. You have to do this thing, sign this paper, and I know it sucks, but get it done. How enthusiastic do you think that team is going to be about it, right? If you can't get the managers excited, you're definitely not going to get their people excited. You have to kind of you have to get people that are interested, active, and you have to get the people at the top interested. So how do we do that? Several ways. You have to make it make sense to them. There's a lot of talks that are based only on this. How to speak to management, how do you speak to your executives, what do you get to make sure that they understand where you're coming from. They don't have the background you do, they don't have the interest you do, they don't have the understanding you do in a lot of cases, so you have to put it in terms they do understand. Start with money, right? Security has a problem. They don't really make money in a lot of cases. I'm unique and I work for a software vendor where we can sell security, right? That's nice. But security can end up costing you a lot of money, right? People are risk averse. Executives especially are risk averse. If you can bring them numbers, say, if we don't do X, it's going to cost us this much potentially, you'll at least get their attention. It won't be enough to convince them, but at least now you have some eye contact. You have people listening. You got ears perking up. Next quarter, we're going to lose $1 million because of this. What? Sorry, I was playing on my phone. I heard we're going to lose $1 million. What? What was that? You got people interested. Get yourself some charts. Executives love charts. Heard that a million times. It's true. Spend 10 minutes in Excel. Slap one of these together. It's not that hard. This is a super basic risk chart. I didn't make this. I just yanked it off Google. But likelihood, impact. Talk about some possible attacks. Put them on there. Give them some numbers. The numbers don't have to be real. These things don't have to be. A lot of these attacks that we're dealing with aren't quantifiable, right? When we're talking about likelihood, it's a guess. We can bring up different threat actors. We can talk about how likely it is China's going to come after us versus how likely it is an insider employee is going to get angry and get disgruntled. We're not going to revoke access, and then we're going to have problems that way. We can talk about these things. Litigation. The last thing any of your executives want is to be in a courtroom or to be on a newspaper for negative reasons, because we weren't compliant, because our product ended up harming somebody, cost one of our customers money, and now we are on the hook for that. Again, negative things that get their attention. There is one positive aspect you can bring up that I found is extraordinarily beneficial, and that is make your executive a rock star. Executives talk to each other, right? Your executive at your company talks to executive at your company, executive at your company talks to executive at your company. These guys are on boards together, they meet, they talk, they have lunches. If they can go to these meetings and be like, oh, so, we started this new thing. One of the guys showed me how to crack some passwords. It's not a big deal. I'm a hacker now. It's cool. And And we're rolling out this security stuff. And the other executive's like, I don't know how to crack passwords. So now they're the cool guy at lunch, right? What's up?
You left out 1 in 7.
Keep going. What is it?
And that is, they may actually face criminal charges.
Absolutely, they can face criminal charges. And a lot of these compliance standards, executives are ultimately responsible for any sort of malfeasance. But yeah, definitely focus on the positive as well. Make them a rock star. Teach them how cool this stuff is. Let them be the cool one at lunch. Most importantly, make it easy for them to say yes. When I did this, I went a little overboard, and I put together this like 20-page report, like, bam, here's the time we'll need from the people. Here's the people we'll need. We already have them. Just have to reallocate them. Here's the resources we'll need. It's not going to cost any money. Make it super easy for them to look at it and go, it's not going to cost me any money, and we already have this stuff. Like, fine, do what you have to do. Put the plan together. Don't make them put the plan together. Any obstacle that you're putting in their way is one step closer to them saying no. Make it easy as possible for them to say yes. And yeah, that's a lot of work. You have to prep a lot. You have to do a lot of research, and you have to do a lot of background work. But that goes back to caring, right? If you don't care enough to do all of this, then you don't care enough. Number 3, you don't speak their language, but then you're frustrated when your audience nods politely at you. Like you're all doing to me right now. But I know you speak my language. So one of my vice presidents recently called, in front of the whole company, InfoSec one of the hardest intellectual pursuits out there today. And I don't think that's I don't know that that's true. But we know it's difficult. We know, look, we're all out here today after work just to kind of stay average in our industry, right? We have to go to these conferences. We have to build a home lab. We have to be reading constantly. We're buying books. We're trying new programs. We're coming to meetings like this just to kind of be like the average guy in our industry. No one in their industry has these requirements. We know the amount of work that we put in, but it's easy to forget, right? We suffer from academic creep. What academic creep is when you kind of learn something and look to the next level and realize how many things you still don't know, how many questions you still have to ask. And then you kind of assume that everyone else is at the level you are, like you're the idiot in the room, right? You have to figure all this stuff out. Everyone else has already figured everything out. You go to explain it to somebody new with that mindset, and then you realize with their blank face that they don't have that knowledge that you spent years and many hours developing. So we have to make sure we're on their level. We have to make sure we're speaking their language. This is an actual slide that I used at my job. So we were having a problem where we had these wonderful encryption technologies that we were trying to sell, and our salespeople did not know what they were talking about when it came to this. Why would they? This isn't coming to their lives, right? Now, is this oversimplified? Yes. There's no mention of asymmetric versus symmetric. There's no mention of key links or digest links. There's all kinds of information missing from here. But what was my point going in? When I went and spoke to these salespeople, my cause wasn't to make sure they all become crypto experts. My cause was that they know the difference between encryption and hashing. So when they go talk to our customers, they don't tell them that we encrypt our passwords, right? And then they call us and go, so you're encrypting our passwords, really? And then we have to go back and have this long, drawn-out conversation. My only goal was to say, hashing means one way. You often use it for passwords. Encryption uses a key. It can be reversed. This is with other things. Are they missing a lot of pieces of the encryption and hashing puzzle? Absolutely they are. Do they have everything they need to do their jobs now, though? Also, yes. Right? This is all extremely basic to everybody in this room, but my audience wasn't everybody in this room. You have to bring the material down to your audience, or up to your audience, depending on what you're doing, and only give them the information they need. I showed them this slide because I very much doubted that they had actually ever seen anything like this in action. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So this is a product we sell. It's encrypted disk groups. Basically, so we have this text file here. If the resolution was better, you'd be able to see there's actual words and stuff over here, and then it's run through our encryption process, gibberish over there. Right? Now, did I tell them that there's 100,000 lines of code at this arrow, and that we're actually running through several specific algorithms, and that we have different modes that we're using, and this is why this one's better, and this is why our competitors use this one? No. No, I didn't tell them any of that. Why? Because all they need to do is understand, hey, look, I can read that. Hey, look, I cannot read that. This seems important. And be able to convey that to our customers. This one is for a more technical audience. I just showed this part because I'm super proud of it. One of my team members managed to do something I've never seen before and put CSRF on a single slide. Like, we still give this guy props for this. Like, he could screw up and be like, yeah, but remember that one time you put CSRF on one slide? That's insane, right? So this was going to our QA staff. Right? They have a much higher technical ability, right? They understand what a server is. They understand that this is network traffic. They understand what a request is. They get this link. They understand where all this is coming from. It's not for a sales audience, right? I don't want to explain. These arrows mean network traffic. A request is this. This is what this link is actually doing, right? I could bring the kind of academic level up because they already had this baseline of understanding. But using what I knew they knew, what a user is, what a server is, what traffic is, what all this is, I can easily explain cross-site request forgery to them, which is an extremely complex topic. Now again, is there a lot missing from this? Yeah, sure. But do they need to know all that to do their jobs? No, they do not. All they need to do is know what's happening and how to detect it, and then talk to their developers. That's pretty much it. At least this gives them to see that if they decide that, you know, I know there's some stuff missing from here, I kind of want to go learn more about it, they have a name now, they have some basic understanding, they'll be able to absorb this information a lot more quickly than if they didn't have this information. Keep your eyes on the prize. That's the basic idea here. We have a single piece of information we're trying to get across to our audience. Make sure you're focusing in on that piece of information. I know you have a lot to say, right? We spend all these hours gaining these skills, gaining all this knowledge. We want someone to hear it. We want to pass that information on, but they don't need it. They don't need it. They don't want it. They're going to turn off as soon as they stop understanding what you're saying. Focus on what you want them to learn, teach them it, and then stop. Don't get greedy. Number 4, you are a terrible speaker, and then you expect them to listen to you. Put your hand up if you think you're a terrible public speaker. Yeah, just a few? Yeah? Yeah. We can talk about my speaking skills, but hey, I'm up here anyway. If you think you are not a good speaker, you honestly have no excuse for that at this point. These are just groups, security groups in Northeast Ohio. Just Northeast Ohio, just security groups. All of these people are looking for speakers all the time. I run CleveSec. I used to be a board member here. Justin, is or is it not the most pain in the ass part of running this, getting speakers? It is the most pain in the ass part, getting speakers. He just came up here and gave a spiel about how if you have something to talk about for 5 minutes, you can send an email and say, hey, I've been working with this tool, this is as far as I got, and now I'm stuck, so hopefully somebody can help me with that. Okay, thanks, and you're done. But people don't even do that a lot of times because they don't think they have anything to say. But really, something as small as that can spark conversation. Maybe someone else in the room didn't even get as far as you did, and they're like, oh, that's where you got past that part? I didn't know I was going to run into that. That sucks. And someone else will come up to you, and they'll be like, hey, I had that same problem. This is how you get by it. Super easy, not as hard as you think at all. So 5 minutes, 45 minutes, get up here. You have something to say. There are people coming to hear that this is their first meeting, right? People are just getting into this stuff. Anything you have to say will be new to them, right? Other people in the room might be a review for them. They might be a little bored, but they might have something to contribute to the conversation as well. So don't be intimidated. If for some reason you don't want to do that, you have a couple other options. Toastmasters, excellent option. I've never actually been, but I know several people that have gone from panic attacks when they get handed a microphone to pretty confident on stage through Toastmasters. I think there's 2 or 3 Toastmasters groups in the area. And how I kind of learned to speak, because I used to be one of those people, if you handed me a microphone about a year ago, I'd be like this up here. My voice would be shaking the whole time. It would not be good. But I did it by kind of leading meetings. We had this grassroots security movement that needed to be going. And if I didn't lead those meetings, no one was going to. But since I cared about it, I kind of stepped up and stood at the room and shake. You know, I would be nervous at the front, and I would look probably like an idiot for a while. But you get used to it. You develop a flow. You develop a style. Find your voice. It's the most important part. It's nice to be in front of an audience that gets that joke. Find your unique style. Don't try and copy somebody else. Learn what you're comfortable with. Get yourself out there. Try some things. Get some practice in. It's not as scary as it looks, I promise. Number 5, this is the one I see the most. I don't like going later in the day when I give this talk because people that just went think I'm singling them out. I promise. It's not about you. If you see yourself on here, I apologize. But your slides are ridiculous, and then you expect comprehension from these people. Here's one. It's an awesome slide. Walls of text, the first no-no. My favorite thing about this slide is every time I show it, everyone in the room is like, God, somebody made this. Somebody made this slide, thought it was good, and presented it to a bunch of people. Was everyone in the room going, I don't know what this guy's thinking, right? I can't believe he's up here. And all you people that just kind of shook your head and scoffed at this, I bet you've made a slide like this at some point, right? People start it that way, they don't know better. What they'll often say when they have a slide like this is like, okay, I'm not going to read this to you guys. I can assume you can all read. And then he'll keep talking. So either you're stuck reading the slide or you are listening to him speak. You're not doing both. Either way, comprehension is way down from where it could be. Worse is when they'll go, so here's a wall text. I'm not going to make you guys read that, though. Let's just move on. You're like, why is it in your presentation, man? You control the presentation. You put all this stuff up here. If you're just going to skip it, why don't you just take it out? What are you doing? And it's hard to read. Even if you're trying to read it, then... or they'll stand there and read it to you, and that's no fun. That's no fun at all. Here's another example. Oh, no more adverse reactions from this. All right, so hang on. So don't, like, this is just an example, try not to fall asleep in my presentation. But notice, we got 4 levels deep of bullets here, right? This is not a slide, this is a document, right? Probably likely what happened is somebody pasted a document into a slide and pretended that they could present that information to everybody. When I see a slide like this, I know what's about to happen. The presenter is about to read each of these points to me. What screams to me, if I'm in the audience, is that this presenter does not know what they were talking about. This presenter, if they did know what they were talking about, would not need all of this text on the screen in order to reference all the information that they were delivering. Now, if this is something that's built not to be delivered, but to be handed out for retention later, something like that, fine. Maybe consider putting it in a document, though. Maybe not a PowerPoint, because somebody's going to try and give this presentation, right? It's terrible. My favorite part of this slide is this like 15-word title at the top. What is that adding to the slide? Just because PowerPoint has a slot for title doesn't mean you need to add a title to the top of each slide, right? This is adding nothing to anybody. None of this information is being absorbed. And this is from Boeing. This is like a Boeing internal. So like big companies, pretty high-tech companies, still plenty of people that do not know what they're doing. Good job, Boeing. This one is the MVP. So this one has wall of text, but it's broken up a little bit. Here's four bullets that each have their own wall of text, right? You got the white text with the white little streams going across in the background. You got the nice title up top. Again, who is this slide for? If you were in a presentation and this slide came up, would you be thinking, oh, a lot of good information here, I'm going to get some value out of this? While the presenter tells me that type 2 DM is becoming increasingly common in children, you don't need all this information. Either the speaker's going to summarize this stuff for you, or you're going to have to sit here and read it. Either way, this is not the optimal form to be doing it in. So what should we be doing instead? Use big words. I don't mean long words. I mean literally large words on your screen. This is pretty good. It's pretty good size projector for the size of the room. Not always the case. I've definitely presented in rooms where the projector was about this big, and then it's like an auditorium. You need large words on your screen because the last thing you want to do is to be able to point to something and then say, so if you guys look, well, you can't read it, but it's over here. Like, you're just breaking the flow of your presentation, right? Get the words as big on your screen as you can, because then people are not reading your slides, they're listening to you speak, and if they do reference your slide, they're going back to whatever main point you want them to take from what you're saying. For instance, what I've been saying in this slide is you should use big words on your presentations. And here on the slide, we have big words. Use it as an example. Next, pictures. I put the word pictures into Google Images for this. Guys, do you know how many pictures are on the internet? So many pictures on the internet. You got cool pictures over here. You got animals over there to draw, nature, flowers. They got everything on this internet, you guys. Use it. Now, was that? No. Now, if you are selling your material or you're getting paid for your material, do not be a dick. Filter down for Creative Commons or like labeled for use, something like that. I'm not getting either of those things, so I'm using whatever pictures I want. Presenter notes. We're going to get a little meta here. This is an actual screenshot of me creating this presentation. This is the last slide. I'm going to read you these notes. Pictures. Guys, you know how many fucking pictures are on the internet? So many. That's what's on my computer screen right now. Notice that there's not a bunch of paragraphs here, right? Just a couple bullets to remind me what I need to talk about. I'll look down occasionally. What am I? Oh yeah, need to mention that, right? Know what you're talking about. Get your stuff together. Put a few reminders in there. Keep your main points on the screen. But, you know, give yourself some reminders. Use presenter mode. If you don't know what presenter mode is, it's the greatest thing that ever happened to PowerPoint. Put your notes here. Slides up there. Use this. Use it. Use it. Do not try writing a script up here. I tried that before. Several problems you'll run into. One, you will lose your place, and then you'll panic. And then you'll go, well, I think that was everything. And then you'll remember something 3 slides later that you forgot to mention that one slide. It'll eat at you the whole time. It's not good. Nothing good comes from that. Have your bullets up here. Know what you want to say. Know the information so that you can extract from the bullets what you want to talk about. If you need the script up here, if you need to follow a script, you don't know your information well enough. Go back to the drawing board. Learn a little better. Practice if you have to. Get it out there. Get it done. Next. So actually when I started this presentation, I had some like fancy custom slide deck thing going and all kinds of craziness. And then I stopped and I was like, you know what? I want to prove a point here. Everything I've done in this PowerPoint presentation has been done using defaults in PowerPoint. Right? Looks pretty decent, I think. Click this one here. Whoa, yeah, click this one here. This is the design. Click that one. Change the color to blue. All right. All these slides, all these pictures with the borders around it, I just click that one. I didn't do any fancy like, oh, it's 2 pixels. And change the color and do all kinds of stuff I normally do. But you know what? You don't have to. This looks fine. I don't know shit about like color and like formatting and all this stuff. I'm terrible. Like, if you ask me what color to paint a room, I don't care. I have no idea what goes together and stuff. But guess who does? The designers that work at Microsoft, man. They pay people to put this stuff together. Keynote, all these programs have these defaults in here because they paid some people who know about that stuff to put this stuff together. Use their work. Why bother starting over?
Ask your wife.
Or ask your wife. She's good at that. Yeah. If you're using PowerPoint, I don't know that there is a equivalent in Keynote or anything like that. I'm sure there is. The display selection pane tool, you need to get a hold of that. What that does is allow you to kind of move things around PowerPoint as though they're like Photoshop layers. Rename them, put them in order. It's a fantastic tool I didn't know about until about a year ago. When you're designing things, like I said, terrible with colors, terrible with art. I can't do any of that stuff. But, decent at math, I know how things line up. Turn on these grids and guidelines, man. If you don't know if something's centered or whatever, you know, I don't know how that stuff works. I don't have a good eye for it. Guess what? Math's already done. Use the math. Put some pixels in, you know. Do some division. Get some stuff centered. It works out great. Frames are probably the most overlooked thing. Like, look how dollar store this looks, and look how like nice this looks. All I did was click that button to put a frame on it. Right? It's a very simple thing. Makes everything look way more professional. This looks like I just kind of slapped it on. This looks like it belongs as part of the presentation. Put some frames on your pictures. All right. PowerPoint rant over. Number 6. You rely on computer-based training, and then you wonder why your compliance is low. Who here has to deal with some CBT nonsense at their job? Sexual harassment training or like anti-corruption or stuff like that. What do you do when you get that training? Treat it like one of these, right? Scroll to the bottom, agree, done. Do you think your users are doing the same thing when you roll out your security training that's along the same vein? Hell yeah, they are. They don't care about this stuff. It has nothing to do with their job. They don't have a relationship with you. They get it from security@company.com. They're like, must complete this training by August 5th. Fine. Next, agree, complete. And then you get the numbers back and you go to your boss. Boss, we got 70% compliance rate on that. And that's sweet? Look at that. We're killing it out there. How much your users know? Probably very little, right? Jack shit. They don't know anything, man. They come through here. Why? They don't care. You don't care enough to put something together that is relevant to them, that makes sense to them, that you can use CBT. I'm not trying to knock CBT as a concept. It's great. But you can't pull something off the shelf and be like, sure, it looks fine. Ship it off to them and expect them to care when you didn't. Right? Got to put some effort in. Number 7. Your content isn't relatable. But then you expect real-world application of the content you just delivered. This is what I'm talking about. Back to this slide. Delivered this to our QA testers, right? Very relevant to what they were doing. These are the kind of things they have to detect in our software. They have to detect that these things are possible. This is something that they can take back to their desk and know, you know what, I should probably look into this. I know a few areas right away where, I think something like this is happening. There's nothing more fun than training a group of developers on some security vulnerability and watching one of them go, I gotta go look at something, and like bail out of the room and never come back, right? But if I wanted to train like our receptionists up on some security practices, which is part of my job, right? I have to bring up the non-technical people and the technical people. Would I show them this? Would I be like, hey receptionist, OWASP top 10, let's go. Injections. First of all, cross-site scripting is an injection attack. No. What I would do, and what I did do, is buy a couple copies of this book. This thing, yeah, it's probably embellished quite a bit. That leaves a lot of things out, but it reads like a damn dime store romance novel, right? We broke into the helicopter factory. The security guard believed us. Right? Put this on their desks, spend $10, and this information is relevant to your receptionists, right? This book is full of receptionists getting fooled and letting silly shit happen in their company, right? Giving them some time to read through that. Much more relevant than the OWASP Top 10 presentation. They're going to tune out. They have no idea what's happening. Not going to do anything with it. Number 8, you don't test and repeat your material, but then you expect attention and retention, right? 100 ways to deliver this material. You can do CBT, you can give presentations, you can give lectures, you can sit at everyone's desk for a couple hours and point out all the things they're doing wrong, right? There's 1,000 ways you can do this, but you need to pick one at some point. You need to pick one, you need to measure it, and you need to adjust accordingly. You can do what's called A/B testing. Very high-level A/B testing is you deliver one set of training to one group of people, another group to another set to another group of people, see which group did better, adjust accordingly. Making small changes will definitely get you where you want to go. The fact that you're making changes at all puts you miles ahead of most people who are doing this. Again, most people don't care. Most people are not at number 1. They buy the CBT off the shelf, send it off to their users, judge their success based on the number of click-throughs that they get on the agree button, call it a day. You have to come up with your own measures for success based on the material you provide and adjust. Adjusting is the important thing. Number 9, you treat it too much like work, but then you expect your audience to be conscious the entire time you're speaking. Does anybody actually have to sit through like a live presentation for their like sexual harassment training? We do at Highland. We have our guys come in that they're way too peppy and they're like, who wants to learn about sexual harassment training? And you're like, we see this presentation every year. You know what it is? It's good. And then after the lively intro, they stand up here. So, point number 1, and it's the Boeing slide, right? You got to tap into your hacker mindset a little bit. Has anybody ever seen? Wow, that's terrible up here. Has anybody ever seen Ben 10 talk anywhere? Hands if you've seen Ben 10 talk. Dude is crazy, right? It's like he's like 5'4", and he's jumping. You cannot record that dude. He's like over here. He's talking to somebody in the audience. He's out in front of the audience. He's back over here. That's got to be maddening. Dude is crazy. He's jumping all over the place. If you've never seen him speak, look up anything he's ever done.
He did a DerbyCon one that was really good about security awareness training.
Yeah, I saw him at DerbyCon last year. It was very good. Jason, I imagine, does not have this problem when he goes back to work of being all serious and stuff, but I think that this is Jason Street, if you don't know. I think this picture perfectly defines. Here's Jason at DEF CON. He's got his hat, he's got his hacker stuff on, back at work, glasses, suit, right? It's time to buckle back down. Can't take any of the fun back to work, any of the energy that I got at this conference, any of the cool stuff, any of the Star Fox jokes, right? Can't take that back to work. Why? Why not? This is a presentation I gave at work, and actually here at NEOISF at one point. If you want to talk about iterating, if I go back and watch this video, like I cringe, like I hate this presentation now. Like it's just learned so much, and like this is terrible. I can't believe I put something like this together. But here's a very accessible joke, right? You got a Theoden up here. You have no power. Here's a little meme. Everyone in the room gets that joke. It's a tech company, right? Our education services department told me to take that slide out. I don't think they're going to get the joke. I'm like, this is a software company. You can tell me a Lord of the Rings joke's not going to fly in here? Absolutely it will. And it did. Why not? Take this stuff back. Someone's going to tell you to take it out, but you know what? Screw them. They're not giving the presentation. Keep the stuff in. Use the resources you have at your disposal. Use your humor. Use any tricks you gain from things like this or talks, or steal Ben's energy, whatever you got to do. But you have resources internally too. Head down to your marketing department, head down to your sales department, talk to those guys. They're not really in tune with what you're doing. But if you can kind of tap their resources to kind of steal some of the stuff back that you need done, man, they got a lot of cool toys down there. They got like email metric stuff. You can find out who's opening your messages and who's clicking stuff, and they got all kinds of stuff that they'll let you use. And when you're talking to these guys and you turn them into like a little protege, part of your little hacker group, then when it comes time to train them, then they're like, oh, I know that guy. Chris came down to my office earlier. He was asking about email tracking and stuff. We helped him out with that. It's way better than, oh, the security guy sent us training again, right? If you're the security guy versus the guy who knows your name and you have a relationship and you can kind of build on that, all the better. So head down to your marketing and sales department. Have yourself a nice multicultural handshake with the people down there. And get some stuff done. Number 10, you do not convey the cool about what we are doing here. And what the hell is wrong with you? Why? Why do we do this? Think about if you're at a bar and someone asks you what you do. And you start with, well, I work in computers. Okay, you've now narrowed it down to you're about 90% of the people in their life. Yeah, all of us work with computers. I work in security. Oh, what does that mean? I look for holes in software and stuff, and like these people are already like, I don't care. What are you talking about? Security? How many people have told people they work in security and they think you mean security guard? That's happened to almost all of us, I bet. Yeah. That's the worst. I've never heard that one. That's new. You got it real rough. Yeah. Let's reset the scenario. You're at the same bar. Some guy's like, hey, what do you do? You'd be like, oh, I'm a computer hacker. They're like, what? This ain't CSI. What do you mean you're a hacker? Right? Then you can, but at least now they're interested. They want to hear what you have to say. You can be like, oh, well, don't worry, one of the good guys, technically it's called computer security. We started doing it well. And now you're in with people, right? You want them to kind of get this vision in your head. Wow, come on, man. You get this vision in your head, even though they see you in front of them with you got your khakis and your button down, but you say you're a hacker, and they're like, what, this guy with the two computers and the anonymous mask? The sunglasses and the computer? That's craziness. Yeah. I mean, I got one of these as standard issue when I joined. I don't know if everybody else did.
Sunglasses over the mask.
Yeah, sunglasses over the mask. You could also do the hoodie, of course, or the balaclava. You get your ski mask going. But so here's what you do. You take your people and you turn them into this, right? Do you know how low their bar for this is? Like, they don't have to know how to write scripts and use Metasploit and do all that stuff to look cool. We put this event together where we had them type in a password into this database. Like, it just has to be a month and a year. Whatever you want, though. Go ahead and put it in. And then we had a Hashcat script ready for them. It's like, just press up and enter, and it spits out their password. And they're like, what the that's what I just typed in. Like, yeah, it is. Isn't that awesome? Then they all went to the rest of the people in their office like, guess what I did today? Security guys made me a hacker. I cracked some passwords down there. It's not a big deal. I typed it in and just ran some scripts, type, and broke into stuff, man. That's what I do. I'm a hacker now. I don't want to tell you. They went home and told their wives these things, right? They went home and told their husbands. We had plenty of people that come the next day like, oh, my husband was so jealous and I told him I was cracking passwords at work. Now, were they really? I mean, kind of. I mean, they just pressed enter. But they don't care. Their bar is so low for this stuff. All they have to do is see something go in and see something come out that they know probably shouldn't, and they think they're a hacker now, man. They're going to go home and download. We tell them these tools are free, and they're like, what? I'm going to go home, and they're not going to. But you know what? It doesn't matter. They don't have to. What you do is you convey this stuff to them. You show them this stuff. We all got into this stuff because it was cool. I'm not going to lie. I got into this stuff because I saw sneakers. I was like, yeah, that's badass. Let's get into this stuff. Some of you saw hackers and was like, I want to wear rollerblades to work. For sure. Let's do this. Right? You got into it because you thought it was cool. You keep doing this because you think some of this stuff is cool. Why would you not convey it to these people? Why do you get all suit and tie and button down when it comes to conveying this stuff to these people? Take the cool that you got, the passion that drove you into this, and just bring it to these people. Get them interested, and you can kind of work the boring stuff that you need to into that, right? It becomes much easier that way. Anyway, that's all I have. Kris, this is me on Twitter. This is my email address. That's what I look like on Twitter. This is what I look like in real life. I'm done.